Chapter 8. Arabella had found a vase for the purple vetch all by herself, and put the flowers on display right on top of the piano. The flowers were a pleasant reminder of that boy, Sam, that helped her find the right note. Even if the dirty roots made the water muddy, she thought they looked lovely in the music room. It had been a few days, but she hoped to see him again. After all, he had been quite helpful for her playing. The same as previous days, she pushed herself off the bench and stepped to the window. She looked back and forth, up and down the sides of the house, but there was no Sam to be seen. She sat on the piano bench and played Fur-Elise once through with wonderful mediocrity. She glanced toward the window and waited. When Sam failed to appear, she replayed the phrase with a purposeful wrong note, or two, or three. She waited again, but still no Sam. She turned on the piano bench and walked to the window again. He must be out here somewhere, she thought. She looked right and left again. Then, disappointed, she let her eyes drift out onto the lawn that stretched to the woods. There was a long driveway, and across it the horse pastures. One of the foals raised its head from the field, shook its mane, and playfully jumped away from its mother. Arabella brought her gaze back across the lawn toward the garden at the back of the house. It was growing well this year. Betsy from the kitchen said the carrots and peas would be ready any day. Wait, there he is. There's Sam, in the garden. Sam was on all fours, humming a tune to himself as he made his way through the carrots. His job today was to weed and pick. Weeds trailed his progress on the ground, while the carrots were in a basket he filled at his side. This was his final job of the day, and once he got to the end of the row, he could be on his way home. With how well the garden was doing this year, Sam figured he'd be working till almost dusk. Even so, he was once again happy to be in the garden and not the pig pen. Arabella came up so fast that Sam didn't even hear her until the questions started. "What you doing?" she chimed. "What?" Sam startled a bit. "Oh, carrots." "Why don't you come back by my window and listen to me play?" she asked with a smile. "'Cause the carrots are over here." "Well..." Arabella looked down the rows in the garden. There were a lot of carrots. "Miss Betsy says I gotta finish this whole row before I can go home," Sam continued. "Is that all?" Arabella replied. "It'll go much faster if I help, won't it?" Sam blinked a couple times. She must be lonely, he thought. Before Sam could make his thoughts into words, Arabella was in the dirt next to him. She grabbed a carrot and yanked, snapping off the greens but leaving the carrot itself on the ground. She held the greens in her hand and looked at Sam. I didn't get the carrot part." "She's not going to be much help," Sam thought. "You gotta wiggle it a little before you pull," Sam explained. He grabbed the next carrot where the greens met the orange of the root and made small circles, loosening the dirt around it. "And you gotta be gentle when you pull." Small snapping sounds escaped the dirt as Sam gently but firmly drew the carrot out of the ground. He tapped it a few times on his other hand to get most of the dirt off. "You make it look so easy," Arabella remarked, wide-eyed. "Suppose it is, once you get the hang of it." Arabella, however, could not get the hang of it. The next carrot she pulled broke, and she left half in the ground before going in and digging for it. She pulled the tops off the next two, and had to dig those out as well. Sam could see her frustration, so before she made even more of a mess, he offered a solution. "How about I do the carrots and you do the weeds?" suggested Sam. "It don't take as much of a wiggle. You can pull them out any way you want." "If you think it would be helpful, I wouldn't want to mess anything up." "You already done a bit of that, I'd say." Sam nodded to the unsuccessfully pulled broken carrots still on the ground. "Well, Mama says mistakes are just a chance for a lesson, so I guess I'm getting my lessons in today," she said with too much emphasis. "Guess so," Sam replied. Even though there were more of them, Arabella was much better with the weeds. Dirt, roots, and weed stalks sprung into the air with every pull she made. "She's quite determined," Sam thought as he watched her pulling with bewildering enthusiasm. With half his task taken care of, things progressed more quickly, and soon they found themselves at the end of the row. There was a pile of carrots in the basket, as well as a trail of weeds heaped behind them. "Now come on," Arabella squealed. She reached for Sam's hand, but found he was already holding the basket of carrots. "I gotta get these to Miss Betsy," he said. "Well, hurry up." She sure always seemed in a hurry, Sam thought. "I'll be waiting," she called as Sam walked to the back door by the kitchen. "You come to the window." Sam dropped off the carrots in the kitchen to Miss Betsy, who complimented him on how fast he got the job done. "My, that was quick," she said. "I suppose you can go along home now. I'll tell your pa when he comes around. Get now, before I think of something else for you to do." Sam came out of the back kitchen, gave a last look over his shoulder to the garden before stepping away from the main house to head towards his own home. Arabella's head poked out the music room window. "Where are you going? Come on," she urged, beckoning with her hand. Sam took a deep breath before reluctantly walking toward the window. "Hope it's better than last time," he thought. "Let me know if this sounds right," she said as Sam approached and casually leaned his elbows up on the windowsill. His work was done for the day, after all. Arabella came around the piano bench and sat down, her dress making a bit of a poof as she sat. She gave one more look over her shoulder to make sure Sam was still watching and started to play. Her tongue stuck out of her mouth as her fingers sounded the same simple version of Für Elise she had played before. She slowed the tempo slightly to make sure she got the right notes, glancing back to see Sam smiling a little. It made her smile too. Arabella's mother, Caroline, stepped through the door and into the music room. Her voice had a subtle southern drawl that made her sound proper, even when she was scolding. "There you are, my dear. I swear I barely heard you play a full song the whole time you've been in here. What have you been—" Caroline stopped when she saw Sam leaning on the windowsill. She looked over at her daughter and saw that Arabella's cotton sundress was dirtied with 2 large brown patches where her knees were. Dirt from her unwashed hands was smeared on every note in the key of G. "What have you been doing, young lady?" her mother cried. "Just look at your dress. The piano—" "It's from the garden, Mama," Arabella said. "I helped Sam finish the carrots, and now he's listening to me play." "Sam? Who?" Caroline racked her brain for anyone her daughter knew named Sam before she followed Arabella's gesture toward the window. "Well, is that right? How nice of you to help," she said to Arabella before turning to scold Sam. "And how rude of you to let her." Arabella's father appeared in the doorway. He was a slender but stern traditional Southern man. "Now what's all this shouting?" He saw Sam standing at the window still and looked him dead in the eye. "Shouldn't you be working?" "Miss Betsy said once I finished the carrots I could go along home," replied Sam. "You finish 'em?" "Yes, sir," Sam replied. "Then you best be getting home." It was an order. "Yes, sir." Sam left, happy to be done with his work, but somehow sorry about Arabella's dress.